hold it. Go.
Hi there guys, it's Foxglove here doing the Rune study group for this week. And this week's rune is Hagalaz. And Hagalaz is shaped almost exactly like an H. Many scholars do believe that it was directly influenced by the Roman alphabet. So it looks very much like it, but some alternative shapes of it is kind of a 6-barred kind of asterisk shape. And that one's kind of cool looking because it looks exactly like a snowflake, which is one of the meanings of Hagalaz. Hagalaz is hail or a snowflake. Usually more along the lines of the hail as opposed to the snowflake, because it has to do, many of the poems that you read about Hagalaz it'll talk about how it's destructive and it can destroy crops, and it's the bane of snakes, and but it also has this converse side of being fertility when it melts. And so hail is kind of a big deal to the Norse people because it was called the ice egg or the ice seed, and so it did have this feeling of fertility to it while still being extremely destructive, because it can destroy a lot of things very fast. I don't know if you've ever been caught in a hailstorm, but it's pretty miserable and it can hurt really hard. It could destroy crops if it would happen in the wrong time of the year. It could injure cattle, injure people. Not very fun to get caught out in a hailstorm. But this idea of this little ball of ice is that it would land on the earth and then it would kind of melt and it would be nourishing water. So it had this idea of a positive to it, if taken in the right way. So Hagalaz has a lot of really negative connotations to it. But if you take a look at those negative connotations, it's extreme change. And kind of the death and rebirth cycle is very violent. But if you're prepared for that change, and if you take it with a grain of salt and really say, alright, you know, the poops really hit the fan now, but we can get back from it and we can really make it work. That's what Hagalaz is. It's that destructive nature that shakes things up, changes everything, and whether it's good or bad depends entirely on how you deal with it. So with that we also have lots of trauma, lots of crisis. It also has to do with protection and shelter from the storm. It also has to do with, for example, the gestation period. With this whole fertility aspect to it, a seed is much like an embryo in a woman's body. So it still has to do with that as well, which is seen kind of clearly in the numerological correspondence that it has with the number 9. It's the 9th rune, and so it has a lot to do with this number 9. And 9 was very important to the Norse because you see that Odin was on the tree for 9 days and 9 nights. And there's a whole bunch more that I read about in my books last night, but you should totally remind me of them because I forget them. So if you can think of any more of those, totally post them on the chat or on the comment section so that everybody can share those. And so it has a lot to do with events beyond your control and how you deal with them. And in a reading you would see how you would deal with them, possibly with the other runes surrounding it. And that's about it. Is somebody calling in? Is that a thing that people are doing now? Please don't call in. I don't know what to do about that. And then people will only hear the one half of the conversation. We'll figure it out. So that's pretty much it for Hagalaz. If I missed anything, please do a response video or write a comment in the bottom and add your input to that. And if there's nothing in the chat right now, I'm probably just going to go right on to associations.
Yay.
Yay? Alright. Alright, so the deities associated with Hagalaz is Hela and Mother Winter. And Hela, as you guys might know, because Danielle talks about her all the time, she's one of her favorite goddesses. Hela is the goddess of the underworld, and she is a really interesting looking lady, because half of her body is a normal, beautiful woman, the other half is kind of all rotted flesh. And so with this we get the idea of Hagalaz, because it could easily just be something that you'll get over and you'll be better for, or something that could destroy you. So it has that duality element to it. And then you have this idea of Mother Winter, because Mother Winter is the one who brings the snow. What she does is, in Germanic mythology, she's fluffing her feather bed, and all the feathers that come out of the bed are the snowflakes that land on the earth. And I actually really love that myth. It's just kind of a really pretty image in my brain. The polarity of Hagalaz is it's female. It has to do with this destructive dark force of women, because women, as pretty and dainty as we can be, can also be raving, terrifying forces of nature. You should come on screen and do that. Lexi is one of those raving forces of nature. See? Raving force of nature. Very strong. The element associated with Hagalaz is the element of water, specifically in the form of ice. The number associated with it is the number 9. And this has a lot to do with endings and beginnings. And so Hagalaz is one of those runes because it's at the beginning of the second 8, Hagal's 8. It is kind of an ending to the previous 8, while at the same time being a violent beginning to this new 8. And this new 8 is just full of ridiculous. Very, very spiritually attuned number. The color associated with Hagalaz is light blue, which represents hope and faith. I'm not really sure why light blue would be the color for this one. This is one of those things that people kind of generally accept as the color because it represents peace and tranquility. I suppose light blue is better than any other color in my mind. I guess if you think about it as light blue as the color of lightning, then that would make a lot of sense to me, because Hagalaz has a lot to do with weather and weatherworking and this violent disruption.
With the color of the sky.
Yeah, but that would have nothing to do with Hagalaz, because Hagalaz is storms and sky, and stormy skies are kind of like this black color.
No.
The astrological correspondence to Hagalaz is Aquarius. I'm not big on astrology. I don't know much about it. But I'm sure that Alfred will go over it with his group at some point. And so you should totally check out his group and learn more about astrology over there. The tarot card associated with this is, let's see, let me make you guess.
The Tower.
Yeah, the Tower!
Woohoo, I'm psychic.
Really?
Really?
So yeah, the Tower. And the image of the Tower is obviously the Tower getting struck by lightning. And if I didn't give you enough hints with the lightning, then yeah. And upright, it means sudden changes without choice, so things beyond your ability to control. Plans will fall, intentions will break down.
That sounds like the Tower.
Yeah, well, I'm describing the Tower.
Oh.
But yeah, the Tower and Hoggle have a lot in common. The planet associated with Hagalaz is Saturn, and Saturn has this structure, but also in discipline and various things like that. It needs the structure and discipline in order to survive a hailstorm. Then the stones associated with Hoggle are onyx and star sapphire. Onyx helps release negative emotions such as sorrow and grief, so I suppose it kind of goes along with this idea that Hagel is an abrupt change. And you can have an abrupt change from something negative, like if you're in a bad relationship, for example. An abrupt end to that is probably good for you. It's not going to feel good because you're going to be ripped out of your comfort zone, but it's good. In the end, it all works out. And then the star Sapphire is kind of interesting. Can't read it because this print is too small. It protects against false friends and unfaithful lovers. So it has a lot more to do with this protection element of Hagalaz. This idea of the gestation and the idea that if you're ready for this horrifying thing, then you can work it out and have a positive end to them. On a side note, the Norse people would actually wear a pendant with Hagel on it in order to prevent all of these big nasty happenings from happening. Because they figured that just like medicine, a little of something will prevent the bad things from happening, but a lot of it is what gets you. So they figured that by having a little bit of Hagel around them all the time, they wouldn't have to deal with these horrifying catastrophes. Plants associated with Hagel are Briony and Fern. And Briony, getting out my handy-dandy Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Mythical Herbs. Fantastic book. If you don't have it, you totally should get it. We do sell it in our store. Briony is essentially a substitute for Mandrake. It has to do with money and protection like that. So I don't really see how Briony affects it. If you guys have a more knowledge about Briony, totally comment or post a response video and tell me more about Briony and how it has to do with Hagalaz. Fern, on the other hand, I really think is associated very easily with Hagalaz. It actually protects against snakes, just like Hagalaz. You can use it to get rid of evil spirits when you throw it on coal. If you burn it outside, it creates storms. So again, you have this idea of storms and everything like that. Hello, Wesley. The dog wants to do runes now. And so, I think Fern is a little bit better than Briony. And then the tree associated with it is Ash. And Ash, as you might remember from last week, is associated with water in the ocean. And so, I guess if you want to take it strictly on an elemental basis, yeah, they would kind of work out. Also Ash has to do with thunder and lightning. And so, I guess that goes along with Hagalaz as well. Alright.
Alright.
So if that's pretty much all I've got, please, if you guys have your own information about Hagalaz that you'd like to share, any associations, any meanings, write it in the comments. Post a response video telling me what you think that runes are all about. I love to learn. You guys love to learn. So it's a study group. Let's study together.
What kind of dog is it?
Oh, he's a mutt. And he has... Actually, you do have a lot to do with Hagalaz, don't you? You're a destructive force of nature. He likes to show up at the worst possible time and destroy things. Just like Hagalaz.
I agree.
Lexi loves him, don't get him wrong. But other than that, that is Hagalaz. Next week we're going to be working on Neid. And that's it. See you next week, and in the meantime, post and comment and tell me what you think about Hagel. And if you have more associations, I would love to hear them. One of the things that I've been thinking about is like a song that would go to Hagel, or have anything to do with it, because we talked about, the other night, we were talking about how Here Comes the Sun King is a Yule song. So I'd like to see if there are any Hagalaz songs. So if you guys can think of anything, totally tell me in the comment section. I'd really be interested in that. I can't think of anything.
Disturbed, indestructible.
Disturbed, Indestructible? I've never heard that song.
Good.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I want to look it up now. Alright, but that's it. See you guys next week for Need.